Okay, let's talk about a book that, let's be honest, a lot of people skip over. Deuteronomy. It can seem like this really dense, ancient book of laws. But what if it's not that at all? What if it's actually the hidden heartbeat of the entire Bible?
Seriously? What if the big ideas packed into Deuteronomy are like the source code for so much of what comes later? That's the question we're going to dig into today, and you're going to see the connections are, well, they're pretty amazing.
So first things first, we got to reframe how we even think about Deuteronomy. Forget the idea of just a rule book. It's more like a central hub, a foundational text that lays out this powerful vision for a whole new way of living.
You see, at its heart, Deuteronomy isn't really about what you can't do. It's about a relationship. It's about this two-way promise, a covenant between God and the people. It's basically painting a picture of what a just and fair and thriving society could actually look like. It's a blueprint for how to live well together.
All right, so if Deuteronomy is the source code, where do we actually see it running? Well, the first and maybe most obvious place is in the writings of the prophets. It's kind of like hearing a killer melody from one song pop up again and again in later music. The influence is just undeniable.
And this isn't some new idea. For a long, long time, scholars have pointed out that the big-name prophets, guys like Hosea, Amos, Isaiah, and Jeremiah, they don't just talk about similar stuff. They often use the exact same language and the same core ideas from Deuteronomy to build their arguments. In fact, the connection is so strong that it started this classic chicken or the egg debate. Did the prophets come first and influence Deuteronomy's final version, or is Deuteronomy already there, shaping what the prophets had to say? But here's the key takeaway. Either way, it just proves how deeply intertwined they are. And check this out. This slide really breaks it down. You've got Deuteronomy's central theme, you shall have no other gods. And then bam, there's Hosea echoing it almost word for word. Or Deuteronomy's command to pursue righteousness. That is the absolute core of Amos's message against injustice. Even that beautiful image of God as a father. Hosea picks up that same metaphor. The echoes are literally everywhere. And it just keeps going. Micah and Isaiah, they hammer those themes of justice. Jeremiah is constantly reminding people that the covenant isn't a blank check, it's conditional. He even brings up this idea from Deuteronomy about a circumcised heart, which is this incredible way of saying that what really matters is an internal change, not just, going through the religious motions.
But believe it or not, the influence doesn't stop with the prophets. It actually seeps right into the DNA of the Bible's wisdom books, shaping how they teach about what it means to live a good life.
I mean, just take the book of Proverbs. Its whole structure, this parent passing down wisdom to a child, that's a direct reflection of Deuteronomy's command for parents to teach their kids. Deuteronomy even says that following these instructions is Israel's wisdom. And that image of a loving father training a child, yep, that's in both books too. Proverbs is, in a lot of ways, Deuteronomy in practice.
Okay, so this next connection, this is the one that, for a lot of people, is the real game changer. The ideas from this ancient book don't just echo through the Old Testament. They ripple all the way into the pages of the New Testament. And we're not talking about a minor influence here. If you just look at the numbers, Deuteronomy is one of the top 4 most quoted Old Testament books in the entire New Testament. That's huge. The early writers clearly saw it as absolutely foundational. And there is no more dramatic example of this than the story of Jesus being tempted in the wilderness. I mean, think about it. In this crucial, defining moment of his life, when he's facing these fundamental questions about who he is and what he's here to do, where does his mind go? It goes straight to Deuteronomy. So, when he's tempted to turn stones into bread, what's his response? He pulls a quote straight out of Deuteronomy, choosing to trust God instead of just satisfying his own immediate needs. Then, he's challenged to test God by jumping off the temple. And again, what does he do? He goes right back to Deuteronomy, refusing to force God's hand. And for the final move, the knockout punch, when he's offered all the kingdoms of the world, his answer is the absolute core command of Deuteronomy itself. Worship God and only God. In this critical moment, Deuteronomy provides the very framework for his entire mission. And it wasn't just Jesus. The Apostle Paul, who was an expert's expert on the Hebrew Scriptures, was also completely steeped in Deuteronomy. He doesn't just quote it, he builds entire arguments in his letters around its core ideas about the covenant and what it means to be God's people. I know this can all feel a little academic, so let's end with a story. It's a story that I think perfectly captures this journey of discovering just how central this one book really is. So, the story comes from a novel called The Source. And it's about a conversation between two archaeologists on a dig in Israel. One is American, the other is Israeli.
And the American says something that, a lot of people might think. He just dismisses the book, says it's dry, it's irrelevant. I don't know why anyone would want to read it.
But his Israeli colleague, well, he sees things very, very differently. He tells the American that for him, Deuteronomy isn't just a book, it's alive. It's a connection to his ancestors, to the land, to his faith. And he says, go read it 4 times, then we can talk.
So the American does it, and as he reads it over and over, something clicks. He has this aha moment. He realizes this book isn't just the key to his colleague's faith, it's the hidden heartbeat of his own faith too. The blueprint, that source code, it had been right there the whole time. It's just a great reminder, isn't it? That sometimes the most incredible truths are hiding in the places we'd never think to look. So it makes you wonder, if one overlooked book can unlock this much of the story, what other hidden connections are just waiting for us to find them?